I remember the exact moment I decided to burn it all down. It wasn't when my brother Justin sold my seat at his wedding head table to some investor in a navy suit. It wasn't even when his bride, Courtney, looked at me like I was yesterday's trash and suggested I stand by the kitchen doors to keep the family photos clean. No, it was the pitying smile she gave me afterward, adjusting her veil in the glassy reflection of the Seattle Botanical Garden Conservatory, her voice as light and dismissive as the humid air clinging to my skin. "You don't really fit the black tie aesthetic tonight, Lauren," she said, without even glancing my way at first. "Besides, the vendor table has a great view of the orchids." That was the hook that reeled me in, or maybe the one that finally snapped the line. I stood there in my slate gray silk dress, the kind that whispers elegance but screams practicality, feeling the greenhouse's sticky warmth press against me like an unwanted embrace, the scent of blooming orchids mixed with the faint, metallic tang of rain on the glass walls outside. Laughter echoed from the reception hall nearby, glasses clinking like distant wind chimes, but it all felt muffled, like I was underwater. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene that would ripple through the perfectly curated crowd of tech bros and socialites. Instead, I turned on my heel, my low pumps clicking softly on the tiled floor, and walked straight to the gift table. There it was, the heavy cream envelope with my name scripted in gold foil. Inside, a cashier's check for $10,000, my gift to the happy couple. A bribe, really, to buy a sliver of belonging in a family that had long ago auctioned off my worth. I slid it into my clutch, the paper cool against my fingertips, and walked out the front doors without a word. The cool Seattle night air hit me like a slap, carrying the faint, salty breeze from Puget Sound. Streetlights blurred into streaks as I got into my car, the engine humming to life with a quiet reliability that mocked the chaos brewing inside me. But before I tell you what happened when the bank notifications started pinging his phone during their honeymoon in the Maldives, before the empire he built on my back came crumbling down, let me take you back. Because this wasn't just one bad night. This was a decade of invisible ink on a ledger only I could see. My name is Lauren Walker, and I've always been the good one in the family. The reliable sister, the problem solver, the one who fixes things without fanfare. Justin, my younger brother by 3 years, was the star, the visionary, as my parents loved to call him. From the time he was a kid, he had this charisma, this effortless way of drawing people in. He'd build forts out of cardboard boxes and convince the neighborhood kids they were castles worth defending. Me? I was the one making sure the boxes didn't collapse, taping up the weak spots while everyone else played king. Our parents, Gary and Deborah Walker, poured everything into him. Dad was a mid-level manager at a shipping company, always talking about hustle and breaking barriers, but he never quite did it himself. Mom worked part-time as a real estate agent, staging homes to look perfect on the outside while ours felt like a pressure cooker. Justin was their golden ticket, the one who'd make the family name mean something. I remember being 12, sitting at the kitchen table doing my homework, while Justin, at 9, pitched his first business idea, a lemonade stand with premium flavors. Dad laughed, slapped him on the back, and handed him $20 for supplies. When I asked for $5 to buy books for a school project, Mom sighed and said, "Lauren, you're so independent. You'll figure it out." That pattern stuck. I worked summers at a local cafe to pay for college, majoring in accounting because numbers don't lie. They're steady, predictable. Justin? He dropped out of community college after one semester to disrupt the tech world. Visionary VR, he called his startup, an app for virtual reality experiences that revolutionized tourism or something. It sounded groundbreaking in pitches, but behind the scenes, it was a black hole sucking in cash. And guess who became the guarantor for his loans, the co-signer on his leases, the emergency fund for his cash flow issues? Me. The sister with the 820 credit score, the steady job at a forensic accounting firm, the one who never said no. It started small. A $2,000 loan for his first prototype headset. "Just this once, sis," he'd say, flashing that charming grin over coffee at our parents' house. The kitchen smelled like Mom's cinnamon rolls, warm and inviting, but the conversation always turned cold when money came up. "You're the numbers whiz. You know this is a sure thing." I'd write the check, and Dad would nod approvingly. "That's family, Lauren. We take care of each other." But each other was a one-way street. Over the years, the asks grew. $5,000 for office space, $8,000 for payroll when his first employees threatened to quit, $15,000 for a marketing push that flopped. By the time he proposed to Courtney, a social media influencer with perfectly filtered photos and a knack for spotting opportunity, I'd sunk $145,000 into his vision. That didn't count the interest, the late nights balancing his books, or the apologies I'd make to vendors when his checks bounced. I was his silent partner, his safety net, his invisible infrastructure. And my family? They enabled it. Thanksgiving dinners became Justin's TED Talks. Last year, at that high-end steakhouse downtown, the air thick with the sizzle of ribeyes and the clink of wine glasses, Dad stood up and toasted Justin's unstoppable drive. Mom teared up, beaming like he'd invented the wheel. The bill came, $600 for steaks and Cabernet, and no one moved. Dad patted his pockets, joking about his wallet. Justin scrolled his phone. I slid my card over quietly, the leather wallet cool in my hand. No thanks. No notice. I was just the mechanism that made things work. Why did I do it? Sunk cost fallacy, I'd tell myself later. That psychological trap where you keep investing because you've already lost so much. Admit it's gone, and you admit failure. But deeper, it was the hope, the desperate, childish hope that one day they'd see me, not as the bank, but as family, a daughter, a sister, worthy of a seat at the table. The wedding planning ratcheted up the tension. Justin and Courtney's big day at the Seattle Botanical Garden Conservatory. Black tie, orchids everywhere, a string quartet playing under twinkling lights. I helped with the budget, of course, vetted vendors, negotiated deposits. The venue alone was $25,000, charged to the company card I guaranteed. When Justin asked for the $10,000 gift, he framed it as seed money for our future. I wrote the check, imagining it buying me a place in their lives. But cracks were showing. 2 days before the wedding, I overheard Mom on the phone with Courtney. "Lauren's dress? Oh, it's fine, but it's so practical. Not really head table material." I laughed it off then, but it stung like a paper cut. Small, but impossible to ignore. Then, the rehearsal dinner. Justin pulled me aside in the dimly lit restaurant, the smell of garlic bread and red wine heavy in the air. "Hey sis, about the head table? We might need to shuffle seats. Big investor coming, Marcus Thorne, could seal the Series A." His eyes darted away, guilty, but not enough to back down. "You'll understand. It's for the family." I swallowed the hurt, nodded. "Sure, whatever you need." But inside, a storm was brewing, thunder rumbling low, distant but approaching. The wedding day arrived with Seattle's typical drizzle, but inside the conservatory, it was a tropical paradise. Humidity wrapped around me like a fog, the air alive with the earthy scent of ferns and exotic blooms. Guests milled about in tuxedos and gowns, laughter bubbling like champagne. I adjusted my dress, feeling out of place amid the sparkle. My name card was at the head table, or so I thought. When Courtney approached, veil in hand, her words hit like ice water. "Stand by the kitchen doors. It'll keep the family photos clean." She didn't even look at me fully until the end, that pitying smile twisting the knife. And there he was, the man in the bespoke navy suit, chatting with Justin like old pals, occupying my spot. The stranger who'd bought my place with promises of investment. That was the breaking point. The moment the fog cleared and I saw the truth. I wasn't family. I was a vendor, expendable. The humidity pressed harder, my skin prickling with sweat and rage. But I didn't explode. I walked to the gift table, retrieved my envelope, and left. The drive home was a blur, streetlights streaking like tears I refused to shed. Silence filled the car, thick and oppressive, broken only by the rhythmic thump of tires on wet pavement. My clutch sat heavy on the passenger seat, the $10,000 inside feeling like lead. Home was my sanctuary, a sleek apartment overlooking the city, minimalist and orderly, like my life. I didn't collapse. I didn't call friends. I went to my home office, the room lit by the soft glow of my laptop screen. My reflection stared back, calm, eerily calm. I logged into the banking portal for Visionary VR. Credentials memorized because I'd set them up. The transaction history loaded, a cascade of red. Venue deposit, $25,000. Catering. Then, the kicker. 2 first-class tickets to the Maldives, purchased yesterday on the company card. My card. No anger surged. Anger is fire, chaotic. This was cold precision, like dissecting a fraudulent ledger. I navigated to the loan guarantor file. Those servers, his app's lifeline, required my guarantee. Without it, poof. I hovered over revoke. A warning popped. This may result in immediate suspension.
I clicked, yes, authorization revoked. It wasn't revenge, it was accounting. Closing the books on a bad investment. Memories unspooled like debits. The $145,000 total, plus emotional tolls. Apartment deposits, office leases, 2 a.m. bailouts, that Thanksgiving bill. I saw it now. I wasn't a sister. I was a sunk cost, chasing returns in love that never materialized. They had twisted entitlement, favoritism for Justin, manipulation of me. Glass child syndrome, I'd read once. Invisible because I worked. Transparent infrastructure holding up their world. 3 days of silence followed. Blissful, tense. I worked, watered plants, sipped balcony coffee. Then, 6 a.m. Tuesday fraud alert, transaction declined. 5 Seasons Resort Maldives, $12,000. Villa upgrade. Texts flooded in. Justin, card weird, fix it. Then, embarrassing, unlock. Courtney, a venomous rant about jealousy. Dad's voicemail. Petty tantrum, embarrassing the family. Grow up. The ache hit. Dull, familiar, but now named. Not love denied, but utility exploited. I was the window they ignored until it cracked. Threats came. Dead to us. Out of the will. No nieces or nephews. I called my attorney, Sarah. Execute the call on demand clause. Nuclear option. Demand full repayment. Freeze assets. He threatened me in writing. I said, trigger it. Filings flew. 2:15 p.m. Assets frozen. 2:20. Servers down. Website. 4:04. Empire collapsed. Then Marcus Thorne called, the suit guy. Justin said you were support staff. Didn't matter. Guilt vanished. Next morning, they banged on my door, disheveled, desperate, through the chain, begging, screaming, ordering. I'm acting like a lender, I said, sliding the $145,000